Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi. Daf Yomi, tractate Chullin, page 17b. The last two words of the previous Amud are Tanu Rabbanan. The sages taught in a Braita. And now we're on 17b, with the word Sakin Sheyesh Ba Pegimot Harbe. Sakin Sheyesh Ba Pegimot Harbe. Tidon Kimigera. Shein Bo Ela Pegima Achas. Oigeres Pesulo. Mesuch Seches Keshero. Hechidom Yogeres. Hechidam Yo Mesucheches. Amar Eliezer. Oigeres, Ishte Ruchois, Misucheches, Miruach Achaz. The status of a knife in which there are several notches is considered like that of a saw. And with regard to a knife in which there is only one notch, if it catches, the slaughter is unfit, but if it entangles, the slaughter is fit. What are the circumstances of a notch that catches, and what are the circumstances of a notch that entangles? Rabbi Eliezer said, a notch that catches is one that has a sharp edge on two sides, while a notch that entangles is one that has a sharp edge on one side. Meruach achas nami churpa de sakina machlesh Morsha bezah Dikai maresha de sakina Sof kiaza machlosha Kiasa bezah brackets asif bazah can go in sheholech below havim. The Gemara challenges this explanation. What is different about a notch with a sharp edge on two sides, where the first edge compromises the neck by removing the hide and the flesh, and the latter edge rips the simanim? In the case of a notch with a sharp edge on the side too, the sharp tip of the knife comprises the neck, and the edge of the notch rips the simani. The Gemara explains the reference is to a notch that stands at the top of the knife, which begins the slaughter. The Gemara objects. Ultimately, when the knife goes in one direction, it compromises the neck, and when it comes back in the other direction, it rips the simani. The Gemara explains the reference is to a case where he drew the knife backward and he did not draw it forward. Amar Rabbe, Sholish minus pesakin oigeres lo yishchoit im shochat shechitas psulam isocheches lo yishchoit ba lechatchila im shochat shechitas likshera oila yoyred pesakin shochet ba lechatchila. Rabbe says there are three types of notches in a knife. If the notch catches, one may not slaughter with it. And if he slaughtered, his slaughter is not valid. If the notch entangles, one may not slaughter with it ab initio. And if he slaughtered with it, his slaughter is valid after the fact. If the notch rises and falls in the knife and has no sharp edges, one may slaughter with it ab initio. Amar le Rav Huna b'rei Rav Nechemia Rav Ashi. Amart lan mishmei Rabbi misuche seches psulo yom Rabbi misuch seches kshero lekasho kasho elech behebi Rav Huna, son of Nechemia, said to Rashi, you said to us in the name of Rabbi that if the notch entangles, the slaughter is not valid. But doesn't Rabbi say if the notch entangles, the slaughter is valid? Rav Ashi answers, this is not difficult. Here, where Rava says that the slaughter is not valid, is in a case where he drew the knife back and forth. There, where Rava says that the slaughter is valid, is in a case where he drew the knife backward and did not draw it forward. Amr le Rav Acha b'nei Rav Avio le Rav Ashi damyo l'saso mai Amr le man diahivlan mibsare v'achlinan. Rav Acha son of Rav Avia said to Rav Ashi, if the knife was similar to an awn of grain, sasa, which is not perfectly smooth, but does have actual notches, what's the halacha? Rav Ashi said to him, who will give us from the meat of an animal slaughtered with a knife, and we will eat it? Rav Chizda says, from where is it derived that examination of a knife is an obligation by Torah law? It is derived from the verse, as it is stated with regard to Saul's instructions to people, and slaughter with this and eat. 1 Samuel 14:34, indicating that Saul gave them the knife only after ensuring that it was fit to slaughter their animals. Pshita, Kivan dechinak of trepa by bedikah chacham ka'amri namorech namorah lesakin lechacham ela bibnei kivod shel chacham midrabanan ukra asmach tuviyama. The Gemara asks, isn't it obvious that a knife must be examined before slaughter? Since we're only one to create a perforation in the gullet, the animal would be a treifa. Therefore, the knife requires examination to prevent that situation. The Gemara answers, we are saying that a source for the halacha that one must show the knife to a Torah scholar for examination is needed. The Gemara asks, is that an obligation by Torah law? But doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say that the sages said to show the knife to a Torah scholar only due to the requirement to show deference to the Torah scholar? The Gemara answers, indeed, it is a requirement by rabbinic law, and the verse is cited as a mere support for that practice, not as a sohar. Badiki la bishimsha binada badkula b'maya Rab sheshet badakla beresh lishene Rav Acha bar Yaakov badakre bechut asara. The Gemara notes in the west, in Eretz Yisrael, they examine a knife in the sun to determine whether there's a notch. In Narda, they examine the knife with water. They would place the blade on the surface of the water. If there was a notch, it would noticeably alter the surface of the water. Rav Sheshet was really daring. He would examine it with the tip of his tongue. Be very careful doing that. Don't try that at home. Rav Sheshet would examine it with the tip of his tongue. Wasn't Rav Sheshet blind? Wow. Rav Acha bar Yaakov would examine it with a strand of hair. He would pass the strand of hair over the blade with a knife. If there was a notch, it would be caught in that notch. Amri b'isra achla b'isra lebadka. Amar Papa tzricha b'dika ab'isra v'atufra v'atlasa ruchasa. In Surah they say, a knife consumes the flesh. Let the flesh examine the knife. Since the concern is that the knife will rip the flesh, during the slaughter it should be examined by passing it on the tongue or the fingertip. Rav Papa said the knife requires examination on the flesh and on the fingernail and on the three sides of the knife, meaning the blade and the two sides of the knife. Amar le Rav Ashi Amalan Rav Sama Bereid Rav Sharshi Meshmach Tiamet le Mishmei Ravi Tzich B'nika B'Yisro Et Tufra Azosom Ruchaso Amar le Abisra Tufra Amri Vetlasa Ruchaso Amri Ikedrami B'Yisra Tufra Vetlasa Ruchaso Amri Mishmei Rav Amri. Ravina says, Rav Ashi, Ravina said to Rav Ashi, Rav Sama the son of Rav Sharshia said to us in your name that which you said to him in the name of Rava. The knife requires examination on the flesh, and on the fingernail, and on the three sides. Rav Ashi says to Ravina, on the flesh, and on the fingernail I said, and on the three sides I did not say. There are those who say that Rav Ashi said to him on the flesh and on the fingernail and on the three sides I said, and in the name of Rava I did not say. Ravina Racha Berei the Rava Hava Yasvi Kami Rashi I see Osaki Nekame the Ravashi the Matko Amole Ravacha Berei the Ravi Vidka Batgo Durva Bisa Ruchosa Amole Yesher Vichen Amar Kohana Ravina Ravashi son of Rav was singing before Ravashi. People brought a knife before Ravashi, examined it. Ravashi said to Ravacha, son of Rav, examine it. He examined it on the fingernail, and on the flesh, and on three sides. Ravashi said to him, well done. And Rav Kahana likewise said that this is the way to examine a knife. Rav Yemar, Amarat Atuv Fra, Yavisra Tzrichi, Atlasu Ruchasa, Tzricha. Milo Amar, Bizera, Mash, Shmuel, Iban Sakim, Shadba. Shechita Zakshel, Shechiduda, Koidem, Lelibuna. Bikashilana, you can sit Zidaldin, Beamrinan, Beis Shechita, Mirav Koravka, Hanami, Beis Shechita, Mirav Koravka. Ravimar said, examination on the fingernail and on the flesh is necessary, and examination on the three sides is not necessary. Doesn't Rav Zera say that Shmuel says, if one heated a knife until it became white hot and slaughtered an animal with it, the slaughter is valid as its sharp blade preceded the effect of its white heat, and it is difficult for us. But aren't there the sides of the knife which burn the throat and render the animal treifa, as we say, the area of the slaughter in the throat separates quickly after the incision, and the tissue on either side of the incision is not seared by the white of the hot blade. Here too, the area of slaughter separates quickly, and notches on the side of the knife do not come in contact with the simani. Amar Ravuna Berei Rav Katina, Amar Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Shlosh Pigimoten, Pigimat Etzem Pesach, Pigimat Oizim Mechubivcho, Pigimat Mu Mikadoshim. Rav Huna bar Rav Katina says that Rav Shimon ben Lakish says there are three deficiencies with the same measure, as follows: the division of a bone in a paschal offering, and with regard to which is written, neither shall you break a bone therein. Exodus 12:46. The deficiency of an ear in a firstborn animal that renders it blemished and unfit for sacrifice, in which case a priest may slaughter it anywhere and eat it. And the deficiency that constitutes a blemish in other forms of sacrificial animals. Chizamar, Apigima Sakim, Idak Chullin, Lo Kamayri. Rav Chizda says there is the deficiency of a knife as well. The Gemara asks, and the other Amoyre, Rav Shimon Lakish, why does he not include the knife? The Gemara answers he does not include it because he is not speaking with regard to non-sacred animals. Because it continues, with regard to all these deficiencies, the measure of the deficiency is equivalent to the measure of deficiency that renders the altar unfit.